Hey everybody, how are you? I'm doing a live stream. I'm getting interviewed by Function Present. So right now he's going to get me on here. And here we go. Well, how's everyone going with the quarantine dating? Are you guys doing the quarantine dating? Oh, my dog is very anxious for me to join her. Yes, I know. This is Isabella. Hi. Did you go out for a walk? So quarantine dating, like I was talking about, can actually be a really good thing. Function presents.
All right.
Hi.
Late. There is. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
I'm great.
Perfect. I'm glad you could join us today. You look fabulous.
Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you. Quarantine is getting me all messed up. Like, look at these nails, the lashes, the hair. This is just.
Oh no, girl! Don't knock yourself down like that. You look great.
No, it's just the truth.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to do the show too and just check in with everybody is so we can give ourselves like a reason to kind of get dressed up and kind of have an appointment to go to and, just continue to do what we do, which is, social media outreach and telling people about our small business and all those great things. So Chelsea, I watched a couple of your videos on your page. You are a love mentor.
Yes.
And could you go ahead and describe what that entails?
Sure. I didn't want to use the word dating coach or love coach. I wanted something unique and different. I consider myself a mentor because I am more than just a coach. I have a genuine interest in someone's growth and evolution. And they have my one-on-one clients that have like a 6-month or a year contract with me. They have access to me at all hours. I may not respond, but I have an app that helps them get in touch with me. So I consider that more of a mentorship than just coaching.
Yeah.
But I help them with dating. I help them with their love lives. I help them with relationships. As a public figure, I do my best to help my audience with modern dating, because dating in 2020 has become kind of crazy. Even before quarantine, it's gotten kind of interesting with the dating apps and how things changed with more women working. So therefore your mom's working more than she used to back in the 1950s. So a lot of things have changed, and I do my best to help people navigate this world.
Yes. Well, that's lovely. That's so good. And I've seen some of the advice you gave, even most recently, that piece of, making sure that we're paying attention and honoring the self, or the you, the me, and the we, or.
Correct. There's 3 entities in a relationship. There's the self, there's you, and then there's the we, or us, however you want to, there's no right or wrong way to say it.
Yes.
So there's 3 entities, and you must honor all 3 individually. So for me, obviously, my part in a relationship is first and foremost to make sure I take care of myself.
Yes.
To make sure that I love myself, to do all my inner work to heal my past traumas as much as I possibly can. because if you haven't healed your traumas, it comes out in your relationship as triggers. And when you have triggers, more conflicts arise, and you're sensitive in certain areas where it can be unnecessary. So I help people to, that's what I help my clients with as well. I help them to learn self-love, to heal past wounds, past trauma. I help them learn about themselves. Sometimes people just don't take the time to learn about themselves. They don't take the time to learn about what their values are, what their real goals are, not just superficial goals, because those are easy, but real goals.
Like lifetime things, like what you want to achieve, right?
Correct. Right. And then why people may have those goals. Like, what is it about those goals that are valuable to you? Does that bring you real fulfillment? Or is that just superficial fulfillment? Is that just what the church told you to do? Is that just what your parents told you to do?
Yes.
I help people really look at the truth. And then,
I love that.
I sometimes if they get in a relationship after working with them, I'll work with their partner. So I'll help with the you. Yes. And then I put them together and I help them with the us and the we. I help them with conflict resolution. I help them with bonding, with relationship values that are going to be different, but pretty similar, but different than the me and you values. Yes. Relationship values is its own entity. So you have to take the time to think about that and maybe discuss that with each other, maybe even write it down. So I think I'd like to think I do a pretty good job with that in my business.
Wonderful. I mean, just from the things I've heard, like I said, it sounds like really great stuff to consider. And a lot of people, just like we have a personal fitness, just like we have a financial advisor, just like we have a doctor, a love mentor, somebody to teach you just some fundamental things that, can strengthen how you feel about the love you want to achieve and how you should treat, your partner in certain situations. Or maybe they needed more space in that moment. Maybe I wasn't allowing that. People don't always look at that. And that's why there's sometimes so many arguments and so many disagreements, but that can really all be wiped away with better communication and looking within and all those things. So that's a beautiful thing to be teaching people.
I agree. And it's interesting because most people lack these skills. I call them relationship skills, and most people never learn them. Never.
Yes.
A lot of people just look to their parents to understand what to do, but they're obviously not the best role models for perfect relationships. Even parents that have stayed together and haven't gotten a divorce, they're not always a good role model for you because you may be different than your parents. You may want a different kind of relationship than your parents. You may want a different partner. If you try to find someone like your mom, but you're not, honestly really attracted to those traits in a partner, then you're doing it all wrong. So I think you have to learn yourself, learn what you want, what you desire, what you need, and then look for a partner that you want, not that you are trying to role model after your parents about, or not trying to follow the pattern of what happened in your parents' life, or even have fears, because whatever you put your attention to is what you get in a relationship. So if you have a fear of something, you'll get that because the universe is not biased. It doesn't hear, I don't want that. It just hears that. It doesn't hear do or don't, just that. So I have a fear of a woman that just wants my money. Well, then you're getting in the way of your own success in both relationship and money, both. It's a block. Because then you might attract women that just want money if you have that fear. Or maybe you can't get money because you have that block.
It's so like too strong in your mind that it's actually creating a dam instead of a bridge.
Exactly. Or women may have a fear, I don't want a man that just wants me for sex. And then you have that in your vibration, therefore that's what you attract. You attract men that just want to sleep with you. So
the vibration,
yes, it's whatever you put your attention to that you're going to get, whether it's good, bad, ugly. you know, it doesn't matter. You're going to get what you put your attention to.
Absolutely. Well, I have a couple interview questions, and thank you so much for that introduction and getting people here at Function Presents, you know, knowing what it is that you do. Go ahead and make sure you do follow the Love Mentor. Is it just simply the Love Mentor?
It's the Love Mentor.
It's the Love Mentor. I'm going to just type that in.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the Love Mentor on Instagram. I'm Love Mentor Chelsea on Facebook.
Yes.
And my website is lovementorchelsea.com.
It's Mentor. Just bear with me. I'm going to type it in for our audience so they can know.
No problem.
Who we're live with. Okay. Check in. But what I was also going to ask, I guess we could just jump into the next question while I do this. How have you personally been adjusting to, you know, quarantine, just in whatever way, you know, you feel like mentioning? How has it been adjusting to this kind of new way of life?
I actually like it. I'm introverted. It's so funny because I did a Facebook Live and then I posted it on my Instagram after I saved the video, and it's gone a little viral for some reason. Like it's at like almost 80,000 views now. I just posted it a little less than a week ago. And so I'm getting a lot of people that don't know me commenting on that video. And what they say is, they say the stupidest things. They say, you don't look introverted. Okay. Don't look introverted.
Like, what is that? Right. Because like, what does that even mean?
What is that? Yeah. Like there's no look to someone that's introverted versus extroverted. Introverted is you get your energy by being alone and going within. And my energy gets drained being around a lot of people. Therefore, I'm not extroverted. Extroverted people need to be around a lot of people, and they gain their energy that way.
Yeah.
And we need, the world needs both people.
Both, right.
So yeah, and then someone.
I had my moment. Oh, sorry. There's a delay. I was gonna say I completely understand what you mean too, because I DJ and host events, but sometimes. Sometimes I want to be around people and I love that. And other times I need to be away, you know. And also like I can ramp up for the show. I know it's going to be whatever on the 28th or on the weekend. So I have my alone time throughout the week, and then I dive into a bunch of people. But having to do that back to back can be, you know, straining, especially if you're not wanting to do that.
Yeah, I can see how that'd be really exhausting. I wouldn't be able to do it so many days in a row. Like something like that, maybe once a month for me, I'm tapped. Like that's it.
Okay. So you like to conserve your energy and sharing of that energy, and that's what makes you an introvert.
Yeah, being introverted means like where you get your energy from. I get my energy from going within and being quiet and listening to my inner voice. I recharge that way, and introverts recharge by being around each other. So during this quarantine time, introverts are struggling a lot more than introverts. Extroverts need to be around people. They need to feel recharged.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to connect with each other via technology as much as possible. There's apps, you know, like Skype. You can do FaceTime. You can do an app called Marco Polo to keep in touch with people via video. I also encourage people, like single people, to date right now because I think it's an amazing time to date. Yeah, it's an amazing time to date for several reasons.
Why? Definitely delve into that, because we would think that right now when you can't go take somebody out to dinner, you can't go to the movies, you can't, you know, go for coffee, we would think that this is not the best time to date. But go ahead and let us know why it may be.
For several reasons. Number one, a lot of dating, modern dating with the swipe culture has become very physical centric.
If you don't have the right picture, you're going to get swiped, basically, you know?
Yeah. And then not only that, but physical touch, like intimacy, sex. Sometimes there's an app like Tinder. You can basically go on there and find a hookup buddy. So when you have to stay away from each other, I actually prefer get to stay away from each other.
Okay. When you stay away from each other.
When you get to have distance, time, and space, what happens is you actually look at a profile on a dating site a little longer.
Yes.
You don't just look at pictures and swipe like what you were talking about. You actually look at their personality in the profile. You swipe when no one writes anything, which I think is just stupid. Why would people not write anything in their dating profile?
Right.
Blows my mind. But you take more time to do that during this quarantine to analyze their personality more than you normally would have.
Okay.
And then when you do actually talk to this person, you're taking more time to get to know them instead of rushing to meet them in person.
Right.
So there's a couple of things that happens with that. Number one, you eliminate quicker people that you are not compatible with.
Okay.
And maybe we're blinded by how they look before this quarantine. So you end up meeting them, you waste your time, and maybe even sleep with them because maybe you drank too much. Like all these mistakes happen.
All kinds of terrible decisions.
All sorts of terrible mistakes. When what could have happened to avoid that was just taking longer to get to know this person, to see if there's any sort of compatibility before you even meet them in person.
Exactly.
So everything is slowed down right now during this quarantine. Number one, you get rid of people that you're not compatible with. But number two, with someone that you're actually compatible with, you're creating a stronger bond and a stronger foundation than if you were to meet and then make poor decisions, like moving too fast physically.
Yeah.
Turning them into.
It happens all the time. And look, just a side note from that, when you're dating somebody that you actually, want to pursue something with, I've always personally felt like, and just to let you know, I'm a gay man, so I'm on the other apps. But anyway, maybe it's the same. But just to let you know, so I feel like it's very like, let's move fast. Let's get to the point. Like sex happens on the second date. Like I feel like if it's somebody that I'm actually interested in, I want to let that draw out a couple dates, at least like a few dates before jumping right into it physically, because then, I don't know, it changes things. Do you think is that a real thing? And do you recommend waiting if you're really into somebody?
I 100% waiting if you're into somebody. I actually recommend waiting until you really like each other and have a commitment. The last two relationships that my boyfriends actually fell in love with me before I slept with them. And that created really great relationships that I knew I didn't have to feel insecure. Do they just want me for my body? Do they just want me for sex? It created a strong foundation that we like each other for who we are. And we built a solid foundation on top of that. So the gay community, it's interesting you brought that up, because I feel like there's even more pressure to move faster physically in the gay community.
Girl.
Am I right?
So, anyway, you're correct. But yeah, continue.
And I think it's because, men have 30% more testosterone than women do. Mm-hmm. So at least in the straight community, 50% of the population is trying to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
And in the gay community, there's testosterone
driven
on both sides. Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like a thing in the gay community. Like I think Grindr came out before Tinder, didn't it?
I don't know. I think so. I feel like it's been around at least since 2013, because that's the first time I ever heard about it.
Yeah, I think Grindr came out before Tinder because it's so prevalent in the gay community to just like shake your hands by having sex. And, like it's not a thing. Like, why are you tripping about, sleeping together? So like, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to ask that question. It might be a controversial question. People might have just tuned in and be like, oh, why is she saying that? But I can vouch for the situation. And that's why I asked the question. if you're really into somebody, shouldn't you wait a little bit longer before jumping into bed with them? Because a lot of the profiles, I'm in a relationship now, but when I was there, a lot of the profiles, can be very just like forthright, and you can kind of tell like what people want and what they may want of you. So if you are interested in someone, it's okay to let it draw out for a couple more days, couple more weeks, and see if you actually really like each other before you do that, if that's what you want.
And the reason why that's so important on a scientific level, and so many levels besides that, there's also spiritual level, but on a scientific level, you release oxytocin when you have sex. And oxytocin is a bonding hormone. And so sometimes if you're sleeping with someone that maybe you're not compatible with, but you don't know that yet, and you sleep with them fast, you're creating a bond with somebody, and so then you try to make it work more than you really should.
Good,
right. You're kind of blinded by the oxytocin, and you don't see red flags.
Then you get your heart broke because they're not texting you back.
Yes.
You're wondering, was it good enough? You wonder.
Yes. all the things happen, and we're so blinded by this oxytocin, we don't notice like they're really wrong for me. Maybe that's all they want. No. They like me. We're sleeping together. I feel it when we sleep together. I feel it. No, honey, that's the oxytocin.
You're feeling something else.
It's the oxytocin. That's the lust. That's lust. And you take on someone's energy. So wouldn't you want to be more careful?
That's dangerous.
Right. Wouldn't you want to be careful about what kind of energy you're taking on? Like you don't want just anybody's energy inside of you.
Yeah, and in your space is right.
Yeah, so there's only so much sage you can.
Right, it's sage, But I mean, if they've already been on that level with you, then you have to probably do some other kind of clearing, And
yes.
So I want to just say for the people out there that have been kind of living the other way, we all have our young hoe phase where especially in my community, and I'm just speaking of that, like it's okay to pump the brakes. Maybe you've been dating the wrong way, and it's not too late to begin dating the right way.
I agree. And I think it's probably a young thing for sure. I think it comes along with not understanding yourself, and you're trying to get to know yourself. It also goes hand in hand with past traumas that you haven't healed, because you're trying to basically fill some voids within you, and you're trying to get external validation. And so when you're in your early 20s, like 19, 20, 21, you don't really know what's going on with yourself. You don't really understand your sexuality. And so sometimes they don't have the tools to work on themselves, to love themselves, to have a higher standard, and they work through it externally through sexual partners.
Okay, and one last question on the whole app and dating, or we could have more in that, but if somebody's feeling like they're not finding success on one application, like let's say someone's on Grindr and they just feel like, oh, all these people want is sex.
Well, that's what it was made for.
Exactly. So is there something you recommend, a different type of app? Is there a Bumble, Tinder? Like, is something better than those options?
Yeah. So you want to take a look at what the energy was of the founder that created that, and what their intention was with the app. So the intention behind Grindr and Tinder was it's a hookup app. That was
even Tinder too?
Both of them. Yeah. It's a hookup app.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, actually really good friends with the one of my girlfriends, that she came up with the idea and she told the founder.
Okay.
So the whole conversation was hookup app.
Okay.
And he obviously started Tinder and didn't really give her that much credit for it, but that's another story. But that's the energy behind it. And then the energy behind Bumble was more female empowerment, because the founder was working at Tinder and sick of the sexual harassment and wanted some more female empowerment. So if you don't mind a woman making the first move, then Bumble's a good option. But I believe if you really want to marry somebody, you can use apps like Bumble and Hinge and the League and stuff like that.
Hinge, I've heard of that Hinge app.
Hinge, yeah, but you want to put in your profile that you're interested in a serious relationship. Or if you don't want to do that, then at least ask somebody when you're first messaging each other what they want. And they'll tell you what they want. Well, I just want to hook up. Okay, well, we're not going to work. Have a good one. Don't waste each other's time. It should be one of the first messages that you write.
Right.
And don't waste time.
What if somebody gets upset about that? Like, oh, what? I'm just here. I guess that answers the question.
You can just block them. And they're just a waste of your time.
Some people I feel like have thought, and back in the days when I was dating, I feel like I've asked that question before, like, and then it's either obviously they just say they're looking for a hookup, or they're kind of like taken aback that you want to know that much, or like who are you to ask that much? And I guess
you deserve to know what someone wants of you and your time, your energy. Like, your time is your most valuable asset. So you deserve to know what someone's intentions are with talking to you. Absolutely.
You're very helpful. You can help a lot of people, girl.
Thank you.
A lot of people. These sound like simple things that we're going over, but there's a lot of people that do not know or realize these things. And I just commend you for putting that atmosphere out with your page and with what you outreach about. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I want to add to the apps. I want to add that I believe Match.com and eHarmony have the most amount of marriages and serious relationships that come out of it.
Yeah.
So I recommend those if you're very, interested in a very serious relationship and you're looking for your life partner. Yes. However, you're okay being on the other apps that I mentioned, not Tinder, just stay away from that. Not Grindr, stay away from that. But Bumble, Hinge, the League, Elite, stuff like that, it's okay. Luxy, if you want people that are just like high class or whatever, but definitely make sure that you're writing right away. What are your intentions? What do you want? Match.com and eHarmony, it's a little bit more like we all want the same kind of thing vibe, but it's still good to say, what are you looking for on here?
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Okay. That's great. That's just so much. There's so many other questions I could even go into with that, and but you answered a lot of them. Personally, what would you recommend to your fans or to your friends to do for fun during this time, whether it's like playing Monopoly with their housemates or reading a book?
So it depends. Like for single people, I recommend definitely connecting with potential new partners for at least an hour a day. Set an hour a day aside where you're writing messages on your dating apps and or doing FaceTime dates.
Yes.
And then if you're
FaceTime dates. Okay.
FaceTime dates or Skype dates.
So good too. Like, what a safe way to do it, and just be like, you know what, I was really feeling that, or it was kind of awkward, or you can gauge a lot from a FaceTime conversation.
You really can. I've had some really good connections with FaceTime dates. And then a really good piece of advice I would give for a FaceTime date is actually call it a date. And the reason for that is that you still get the sense of romance by putting on makeup, dressing up for a woman. As a man, maybe like showing a bottle of wine and cheersing them, like, or if you're just watching a movie, like set up your phone.
And they can even Postmate dinner to her house.
Right.
Or wine to her house. And that's so cute, right?
So cute. Yeah. That's brilliant. You can send food and then you guys can eat together while you're FaceTiming. I think it's really important to call it a date.
Okay.
So that it feels like, you guys are, he's courting you or he's pursuing you properly, and he's not just casually like, what up, laying in bed with no shirt on. What's up, baby? Show me what you got. Like, no, this is a formal date. Like, step up, dude. Like, put on a nice shirt and send some food and maybe wine and let's cheers. And if you're liking somebody, let's say you're actually to the point of really liking someone and you established a good connection, then you could maybe just hang out with each other, being in the same room. Like let's just like be in the same room, put the camera on me and let's watch a movie together.
Exactly.
Let's make sure we start the movie at the same time, and it feels like we're in the same room together, even though we're not. But it still feels like you guys are dating. So the anticipation should be really building, so that when the quarantine ends, you guys can't wait to just like hug each other and hang out in person, and you guys will already feel like you've established a really good foundation for a relationship.
Yeah.
So for people that, you know, outside of the dating and love world, for fun, I think different things are fun than maybe someone else, but I think that reading books are fun.
Yeah.
I think that learning, like taking an e-course, I have an e-course on relationship skills that help everybody with the whole dating process and relationship process.
Yes.
And I think it's incredibly helpful. It can save relationships. It can help you just be confident with dating in general. And because I created one, I know how impactful it is. I watch other instructors' courses and I learn so much from them. I like to, you know, hold myself accountable with always growing and evolving. You know, it also, not only does it help me, but it helps my clients, you know, because I'm always learning new things. And then I think another thing that's fun is maybe doing something that you're passionate about. Whether it's taking an acting class online, or if it's painting, or if it's writing, or that movie, you know, I help. It's an amazing time. I help people to make their dreams come true with movies. So if you have a movie idea, I can actually turn it into an actual movie and help get it funded. And
I might have to hit you up about that. I have some ideas.
Well, all you need is an idea. So I'm happy to help. I'm really happy to help. We get them developed for funding and then funded. So all you need is the idea, and then of course writing down the treatment on paper, but I can help you with all that. So
girl, that's so dope. Okay, cool.
It's like the best time ever to do stuff like that. You know, distributors are still making a lot of money because people are streaming movies like crazy, and you know, so they still can do minimum sales guarantees. Yeah. Well, the distributors will place movies on things like Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that. So it's a really good time to turn the dreams that you've been thinking about into a reality. To me, that's fun.
Yeah, no, that is the most fun, honey. And you're so right. I mean, especially this time for creatives like yourself and I, you know, especially those that may still be working at the 9 to 5 and have to like kind of have your brain over there. Right now is the perfect time to really delve into your creativity because you're at home, you're free for the most part to just delve into something else. You know, you're not spending 8 hours a day at the desk, so you have 8 hours a day to work on you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's just it's such a great time. I think that the earth is healing. The air has never been cleaner.
You're so right.
And
it's the same things we noticing over here. I'm glad to hear somebody else say that.
You know, and the crime has gone down. People are connecting with their families when they actually, if they don't live with their families, they're connecting with their families more than usual.
Yes.
So and people are connecting on social media and online more than usual. It's actually a really positive time if people just chose to look at it that way. And so I think anything can be fun, you know, having a little dance party in your living room all by yourself if you live alone, or if you live with your family.
With your friends.
Yeah. You can all get on FaceTime and just dance to a song, you know, like I've had friends that have been doing the FaceTime happy hour where we all have like a glass of wine and like, you know, just chilling on group FaceTime. So, you know, I think it's just an amazing time for us to just step back and remember what's important, which is usually connection, love, and self-love. And
there's so much hustle and bustle in the world. You know, there's been so much hustle and bustle in the world for the last like 10 decades. And this is a moment of peace. Like literally everybody doesn't have any choice but to sit your ass down somewhere.
Yeah.
Finally. and just have a little bit of peace. So if anything, I hope people are enjoying the moment of peace and just finding their own peace in that moment, finding new education, new ways to self-love, new ways to reach out.
I love that.
And, yeah, so that is really good. Oh, question. So as a love mentor, have you seen that show, Love is Blind?
I have, yes.
Oh my God. That show was a trip. At first I thought it was crazy that they had the wall in between them. But now, after we've talked about what we've talked about today and just what's going on, it's actually not so crazy to think you can get that close to someone with a wall in between.
No, you can't. Like, it's all like a soul connection, emotional connection. I actually do that on a regular, like when, I'm in the dating world and when I'm in a relationship, I always want to deep dive. I want to really just get to know their soul. Yeah. So I actually, because most people aren't used to that, men would like fall in love with me like right away because they're just not used to it. Yeah. And so
it's kind of, what? Is that scary when people fall in love right away, or
No, I'm just used to it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know for a fact that most people just don't take the time to connect on a soul level and emotional level so quickly like I do. I have no problem with it, but a lot of people are just scared to do it for some reason.
Okay.
And when I bring it out in people, they're like, "Oh, she must be my soulmate." And I'm like, "No, that's not it. It's just that I'm actually talking to your soul and most people aren't."
Yeah.
And I think that show, Love is Blind, you're forced to do that because that's all you have.
Right.
You can't look at the other person. You can't, I don't even think they have mirrors, or they might have mirrors. I don't remember. You can't even look at yourself, but literally all you have is someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And you have a certain amount of time. So it's almost like you're forced to talk to them on a really deep level.
Right.
So I think it makes sense that people
to get married.
I think it makes sense that people fell in love that way. It made complete sense. I wasn't surprised by it at all.
It was a really interesting show. At first, I was like, these people must be crazy. But now that I really think about it, I'm like, yeah, I guess it is possible that you could, really get that connection and want to take it to that level under those circumstances. And
if you were on that show, you might have really liked somebody, maybe even fell in love with somebody too, if the right person was in there and you have the same compatibility.
True.
But yeah, it's very possible. Extremely.
I probably would be very able to, because I like to connect with somebody's like mentality and who they are. In the years of me reaching to my 30s, like the physical aspects become less and less and less and less, and it's more about like, is this person gonna get on my nerves by the third day that I've been around them? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Can we be in harmony? So,
exactly. It's important because, example I use is when you're in your early 20s, you're still very sexual minded. Yes. So all you think about is sex and is this person compatible sexually? But when you get older, you realize sex is only just a really small part of a relationship. You actually spend way more time kissing, you spend way more time talking, you spend way more time just hanging out than you do having sex. So that's why when you become wiser, I don't like the words getting older, but that's why when you become wiser, you look for different things.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry, I'm just repositioning here. Okay. What is one thing that you can't wait to do after quarantine is over?
Oh, I can't wait to go to a restaurant and eat food like right there in the restaurant, fresh from the kitchen.
Fresh. You don't have to take it home, let it get cold and all that.
Fresh from the kitchen. I can't wait.
And what kind of food? What is your one of your favorite type of food to
have? My guilty pleasure is peanut butter chocolate. And I haven't been able to find very many ice cream shops open. So I think one of the first places that I want to go to is like an ice cream shop and get some chocolate peanut butter.
Like Cold Stone or something?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you make my mouth water.
Okay, sorry.
I haven't been able to find one open near me.
Oh my goodness.
It's sad.
That is sad. Ice cream is life.
What about you?
I'm missing. Let's see. Well, actually, I usually do like events and club events and stuff like that, and I can't wait to get back into that too. But I just can't wait to go to the beach and just like be out in the sun and stuff. I like that, and I just like hearing the water and it just being peaceful. So,
I'm not going to tell you my exact location because I don't want my beach to get crowded. But my beach isn't closed, so I walk there every day.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you can keep your secret, but that's good. I'm glad you're still able to get that.
Yeah, we're very lucky here. It's important.
Yeah, and we're right next to the beach, most of us in the Orange County area. Are you
I'm in Orange County, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So this part of the live, I tried to do a trivia, or I was supposed to do the heads up game, but I'm using the phone that has the heads up game on it, so I can't do that. But what is one of your, let's see, we could do a movie that's your favorite, or we could do an artist.
Ooh, movie.
Okay.
I love movies. My favorite movie of all time is Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh, okay. Mr.
Yeah, it's with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
That's when, like, supposedly Angelina Jolie stole him away from Jennifer Aniston.
Oh,
that whole drama, and the media loved to use that drama for like a decade to sell magazines and stuff.
Yeah, right. I was like, this story has been here for so long.
They loved using that story, but I love that movie for so many reasons. It had romance, it had action, it had humor, it had intelligent humor.
Yes.
Really good acting, really good script. And I loved how they didn't know each other. And then they went to couples counseling to try to get to know each other better. Realized that they had connection through just being freaking honest with each other.
Right.
I love that.
That is a good movie. That's a perfect movie for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna set this up a different way so that you can see the questions.
Okay.
And we can answer them together. Let me go sit over here. Okay. We'll do this. So the first question, where did Mr. and Mrs. Smith meet?
Oh man. Oh, I know this. Bogota. No. Yeah, Bogota. I want to say Bogota. I know they talked about Bogota in that movie. That might be a trick question.
We're gonna go with that. What is Mr. Smith's best friend's name? Sorry, these are difficult. But
yeah, those are difficult. I think it was John.
Okay. John.
No. Wait.
Oh.
No, I think maybe Eddie.
Eddie. Okay.
Yeah, these are hard.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I wanted to play heads up with you, but I'm on that phone.
Oh, that's all good.
How many kills does Mr. Smith have, or how many kills does Mr. Smith claim he's made? He might have mentioned that during their.
I think it's high 50s, low 60s.
And for Mrs. Smith, I feel like she would know.
321.
Exactly. Okay.
Something like that.
I feel like in the movie she probably says like an exact amount, and it's probably higher than his.
Yeah, it was higher.
Okay. What is the tank's name? Are they talking
Benjamin
about
Dans.
Okay.
It's either Ben Dans or Benjamin Dans.
What did the jackets Mr. and Mrs. Smith borrow from their neighbors say? Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't remember.
There's Jesus rules, Jesus rocks, happily married, Mr. and Mrs.
I want to say like happily married. I don't remember.
That'd be cute.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. might be too obvious, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7. What dance did John and Jane perform? Oh. What dance did John and Jane perform in the restaurant?
Flamenco.
Let me make sure our other answers. Okay, they saved. And number 8. What is Mr. Smith's cover occupation? Lawyer, businessman, engineer, assassin.
Engineer.
Yeah, it was something like safe and like unassuming.
Yeah.
What is Mr. Smith's cover occupation? Oh,
CEO.
Oh, Mrs. Smith's.
CEO.
CEO, okay. I don't know how many questions there are, so we'll just have to. What does Mr. Smith tell Mrs. Smith right before he blows up the elevator?
The new curtains are hideous.
Yeah, nice. What is Mrs. Smith's way out? Maybe one of her escapes. A boat in La Paz, Canada, Bogota, Colombia, private jet to Mexico.
I think it was the boat. I don't remember that one though.
A boat in La Paz, okay. Here, let me just swipe through and see. Oh, okay. So we got 15, and we are at number 11.
Okay.
So we're almost there. How many years does Mr. Smith say he's been married to his wife?
6.
All right.
I hope I got that right.
Between Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who claims they have been married before and how? Mrs. Smith thought she loved him. Mr. Smith thought he loved her. Mrs. Smith, fake marriage. Mrs. Smith, drunken thing in Vegas. Mr. Smith, drunken thing in Vegas.
Mr. Smith, and I think it's thought he loved her.
Okay. Sounds right. Number 14. What was Mr. Smith's major in college? Chemical engineer, mechanical engineer, art history, world history, U.S.
I think
history.
it's mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. And number 15, our last question. What is Mr. and Mrs. Smith's real name?
John and Jane.
John and Jane. Ready?
I think it might be the Jayne though, isn't it? Maybe.
Johnny. Oh, John and Jane. Oh, wow, they're making this
really hard. I know. Let's try the way, and I don't know why. I think that might be it.
Okay.
I hope.
Let's see what we get. Oh, I see a badge on there.
We
got decent. You got 8 out of 15.
I got 8 out of 15. Good. That's good.
Average user took the quiz, got 8.7. So yes, you.
Okay, I did average. I guess I got average. Man, some of those were really hard though.
Sorry,
it's not your fault.
I know.
That was cute.
I'm gonna start coming up with good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so at the end of our sessions, I always like to give our guests a moment to, say anything you want to our guests here. Let them know what lives you may have coming up or any webinars or other engagements you may be able to be found at.
Well, as of right now, everything's been temporarily on hold, and I don't know when they will be back on. I've heard actually that big group things such as concerts are going to be canceled for the rest of the year, 2020. So I can't guarantee anything, but I do really recommend my e-learning course on relationship skills. It helps you learn how to attract and keep the ideal partner.
Nice.
And I don't know. I can include a link when we post this. I can also send it to you. But
yeah, please do.
It's about an hour long, and you can take it in sections because it's sectioned out, so it's not like you get bored or anything. Plus, it's professionally done, so there's B-roll, and it's not just my face talking; it's action, and it's very informative. It really helps people to understand that relationship skills aren't something that we're taught. We don't learn it in school. We don't typically learn it from our parents unless your parents are very intentional about it, which is very rare.
Very rare.
A lot of us have to learn with trial and error in relationships, and sometimes you don't want to trial and error with the one. So it's better to learn this before you meet the one, so you can learn how to
mess that up.
Yeah, don't mess it up. Exactly. So I highly encourage people to check that out. It's a very reasonable cost. It's only $49.99. And to work with me, my the average is usually around $15,000 to work with me one-on-one. So it's a huge discount for them.
So you hear that, people? Use your stimulus check to get your relationship right with our friend Chelsea Penner. Now, you can also find her at It's the Love Mentor on IG. Do you have a website or any other areas you want to direct them to, honey?
Yeah, lovementorchelsea.com is my website. You can also find the online course on there. You can also find out how to get an initial consultation coaching session with me, among other things. On Facebook, if you prefer that, I'm Love Mentor Chelsea as well.
Dope. Well, Chelsea, thank you so much. It's been such a lovely pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. You've been a pleasure.
Yes, and I can't wait to, hopefully once all this is over, maybe you can come through one of our events or vice versa.
I would love that.
We play some fun music. And just keep safe, and we can't wait to hear from you again.
Thank you so much. You were so awesome to interview with. Have an amazing day and a great quarantine.
You too, honey. Peace.
Bye.